The other day on stream, I started to run through a campaign with only Raven's AC Nightfall, and let me tell you, it's been an absolute nightmare. Raven's AC is absolutely terrible. It's awful. Don't know how he got anything done in that thing. It's trash. But I thought it would be a cool video idea to take his build and make it actually good, right? Without changing anything too major, get very obviously recognizable as Nightfall, right? Of course, that is this video. Now, getting into it, I first want to talk about why his build is bad, and then of course later I'll get into the actual changes I made. So first of all, kind of the front centerpiece of the Raven's AC, the Nightfall's build, is the pile bunker, right? Big, it's heavy, it's slow, it does a ton of damage, but it really needs a lot of support from the rest of your kit to make the most out of it, right? And Raven's support, or Nightfall's kit, simply does not support it, right? It just doesn't at all. The assault rifle just simply doesn't have the impact output to really help you get those staggers, get those big fully charged pile bunker hits. Songbirds, while they do a ton of stagger damage, they do lock you in place when you fire them, and it does make it really hard to follow up on them. The missile pods are trash, man. I really think those split missile launcher pods really suck, the ones that he has on by default. And his internals also don't particularly synergize with it very well either. I guess the FCS is fine, but the generator and the boosters on the Nightfall aren't really particularly good for the build. The boosters are just too slow. They don't have enough quick boost, support on them, enough quick boost stats. And the generator does not provide you enough energy for the amount of quick boosting you need to get in close with that pile bunker, or the amount of floating you're going to need to do to make good use of the songbirds, right? So those are kind of the big issues of the build. Those are kind of my key targets for my changes. So let's go ahead and get into it. Of course, feel free to let me know what you would change in the comments. That's going to be it for this. Let's go ahead and get into the changes. So first, I want to quickly mention how I got the part list for the original Nightfall AC build, Raven's AC. Just in case you were already rare, if you go over to AC data and you go over to the preset tab, you'll be all the AC data of all the ACs you defeated in the arena will be here available for you to just simply load their build into onto your AC in the garage, right? And Nightfall is there. You only get a new game plus, so if you don't have it yet, don't worry about it. But let's go ahead and get into the changes I made and why. The first of all is going to be the assault rifle, right? I opted to get rid of the assault rifle. I was initially considering trying to keep an assault rifle, but other than also weight constraints, it just didn't feel like they gave me enough impact for what I really wanted to go with for the pile bunkers. I did obviously opt just to keep the pile bunker on. I felt like it was way too iconic to even consider changing this, right? No way I could change the pile bunker. I just felt like none of the assault rifles really gave me that consistent impact output that I really wanted to get those ACS staggers and get those big pile bunker hits, right? So went for the pistol or the handgun. It kind of seemed like my best option. It's lightweight, low energy, and it does a good amount of stagger. The ducats, the bigger hand cannon, is just a little bit too heavy for my setup, unfortunately, so I opted to go with the smaller one. Although you can go with the bigger one, it's not really that big of a penalty. Go just slightly overburdened. Just being slightly overburdened is a big deal. But I wanted to say unburdened if I can. Did decide to stick with the the double grenade cannon, the songbirds also, partly because they do look really iconic, but also because definitely couldn't fit the earshot. Definitely wanted to try to mostly keep things within like roughly the same category, right? If I could. So I wanted to keep at least either one of these grenade cannons, and well, the earshot was just definitely not going to fit. And getting over to the missile launchers, I opted to go for these smaller 4-cell missile launchers, partially because these have a higher guidance stats than the default ones. I feel like these are just really inaccurate, and they rarely ever actually hit anything in my experience. So I did need a little bit less weight. You'll notice I go overburdened if I use these. I need to shave off a little bit of weight. So opted for these smaller 4-cell missile launchers with a little bit more guidance, right? They feel a little bit more consistent. Was my main reasoning there. And then moving on to, of course, the frame parts. I just left all of these the same. I considered maybe trying to change some of these, but all the parts look really distinct and they're all pretty iconic looking. So I did opt to just leave all his frame parts alone, in the way they are. Getting to the boosters, I opted to switch out the default boosters for the Alulas. These are, the generic, good quick boost boosters essentially, right? And obviously the gills were another consideration, but the gills are pretty slow for boost speed, so I did opt for the Alulas instead. You know, pretty good stats all around, really high focus on quick boost, because this is essentially just a pile bunker build, right? This build really centers around getting those big pile bunker hits. Getting your initial ACS build up with the songbirds because they do a lot, and then finishing off with the missile launchers and the handgun. So I opted to be really mobile, as mobile as I could be with these parts, and that's why I decided to go for the Lulas. I mean, I suppose the BZS2s are an option there, but not really particularly that great on boosts. Much longer reload time on the boost, so I did stick with the Lulas instead. I did also change the FCS. I believe this is the default one, the Abbott. I ended up switching up to the Talbot. Even though I am using the handguns, so I would benefit from the close range assist, I really wanted that higher missile lock correction, right? I wanted the missile launchers to be a much more consistent, useful part of the kit. So I ended up going for the Talbot with this nice, relatively high, missile lock correction, right? For the generator, I decided to go with the big coral generator. Partly just because the Santai overburden. If you've seen my other build, you'll know I really like having a really big energy capacity, so I can boost a lot, float around a lot, and the coral generators do take some getting used to in terms of actually playing with them. You don't know, they're kind of weird where they have really bad recharge, but we have to basically recover like their whole energy bar at once when you do when your energy bar recovers from being drained. And so yeah, that's why I went with this one. Big energy bar, and it does kind of recover pretty fast if you drain it right. But other than that, not many great options that actually fit anyways. A couple options I considered was maybe something like this. It's a decently big energy bar with really high recharge. Definitely considered that. Would also probably be, if you don't want to use the coral generator, this would probably be my recommendation. Would be the Ming Tang, and it's also a little wider, so you can make some other changes, like you definitely go ahead and put on the bigger handgun, and it's not going to be a big deal. Maybe even you can fit a larger missile pod. You can even fit a larger energy pod. That might be the better option. It doesn't really matter to me, obviously. If you want to use this build, it is kind of just for fun, right? But that might be the better recommendation if you don't want to use the coral generator, which is perfectly understandable. They are kind of weird and hard to get used to, but I really like that big energy bar personally. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what choices would you make? Would you maybe use something other than the ducket or the handgun? Would you go for, would you stick with an assault rifle? What would you go for? Let me know in the comments. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys in the next video.